It's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Brown,
Here.
Cox,
Here.
Grant,
Here.
Turkey,
Here.
David,
Here.
Neil.
Here. I would need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Everyone's had a chance to look over a minute from the previous meeting. There's no additions or corrections. They'll stay approved as presented. Announce the visitors. And Ken Graves, Assistant Chief Roy Pennington, and Mr. Hammer there. Comments sent in. We'll move on to the officers report, the chief's report.
Good evening, gentlemen. Let's see. Our report starts on page. Here we go. Page 5. Nothing to report on major equipment. The accidents, work comp. Now this is employee accidents, work comp. No, nothing pending there. Just to update everybody on some of the issues we've had with trucks and radios and whatnot. It says unit 3 in my report. I have to correct that to unit 10. It's the actual unit number for that. So my apologies for that error. So unit 10 repaired or head repair replacement. The helicoil fix that we initially tried, it took the helicoil. However, the cylinder was still not firing and having other issues. So it was determined that the only route we could go at that point was to fix that. So it's currently being worked on. We don't have it back in service yet, but this should get us down the road enough. Vehicle has around 130,000 miles on it, so it's still got some good life left in it. And the best guess, if even if the helicoil was going to work, was pretty 50-50. They said actually probably 60-40 as far as its likelihood to fail. So I think the head replacement, the getting to everything is the expensive part. The labor of that is the big chunk of that fee. So again, it's still being worked on, so I don't have a final cost on that. Unit 11, that is the one that was that had the accident during the snow ice storm. We did get the estimate back from the for damage from AV. They are working. That adjuster is working with their insurance company right now. That estimate basically includes pulling that entire side off the box of the ambulance. There are structural issues. Cabinets have to be taken out. It basically has to rework that whole side of the ambulance. So paint, cabinets, structural aluminum, structural steel. The problem right now with if we're pushed towards totaling it is there's no chassis available. So I think what we're going to try and convince them to do as best we can is to go ahead and rework that unit. And like I said, that's being debated right now. The initial estimate came in at 40,000. That's been knocked down, chipped down by the adjusters, probably 10 or 11,000 off of that. So they're bouncing it back and forth between them to see what the final number to fix that is. But even if, like I said, if they decide that it's better to total it, the problem is it might be a year before another chassis becomes available. So best off to stick with that chassis, which doesn't have any problems, and fix that box. So that's where we're at now. Hopefully we'll have some more information as time goes forward here. I do have some good news. Our AV unit on order that initially was projected to come out in December has actually been moved up about 6 months. We're looking at doing a late May, early June inspection on it. Typically, historically, when we inspect them, they're here within a couple weeks, and in service a couple weeks after that. So I anticipate that being that unit being completely delivered and in service sometime in early July. Put some mileage information. This is year to date. I've been putting monthly in there, but that can get kind of skewed, especially if a truck's out of service for any amount of time. But you can see about what each unit is getting per gallon. Not great, but that's pretty typical for those trucks. The vehicle mileage, no surprises on there. We've still got the 2 in the yellow, and then unit 1, which is pretty well backlined as much as possible, hovering around 200, just shy of 220,000 miles on it. Everything else is pretty far below there, so mostly in the green. Any questions so far?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
On the fuel cost, I noticed that unit 7 was 20 cents per gallon or per mile.
Yeah.
And that's the same year as number 6 and 50 cents. So whatever we're doing with 7, can we do it with 6 and 2?
Well, like I said, the problem with doing these this early in the year. Stop trying to that. The problem is this early in the year, I don't have to base it. I think we need to average them out a little more over the next months. That's why I started putting in this year date, so we get a better idea of where we're at. And get a more accurate estimate of miles per gallon and so forth. So I think we'll see those numbers.
Is that free?
Most of that was police. I think that was 3 or 4 police. And that was fine. So not sure what's going on. But yeah, as we go forward, I think I'll be able to get you some better averages, more accurate averages, because that's only 2 months. They may have filled up the tank at the very end of the month and not put the mileage in. You know, it just depends on when during the month that they fill up the tanks.
Because 10 and 11 were,
Yeah.
are both 17s and they both were low too. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious. And also, are the same ambulances in Windsor every week or month?
They rotate through.
Okay.
They all rotate through. Yeah. And that's mostly by necessity, just to keep maintenance up on everything. We have to bring it back up here. But yes, they do rotate through. Mhm. Let's see. That brings me to page 7, just call volume. No big surprises. Let's see, 558 total call volume. The total transports of 384, which is down last year from 444. So it's kind of all over the map right now. Springtime will do that. I anticipate April will be a lot larger numbers, but we'll see. 5 cardiac arrests, no transports with attempted resuscitation. As I was explaining towards the end of last year, those are billable calls as opposed to the cardiac arrest that no resuscitation was attempted on. Only 1 flight last month, and pretty good amount of standbys, 10. That's definitely better than last year. As far as refusals, that's actually kind of low for springtime. Normally our car wrecks and fender benders give us a lot more refusals this time of year, so that's a little bit low. Like I said, total call volume in Pettis was 558 and Windsor was 94. I'm gonna pause for a moment to make sure. Hopefully our command staff doesn't have to run out of here. Car wreck. Moving on. Any question on call numbers? Okay. Administration building grounds. If you haven't got to take a look at the building, it looks a lot newer and nice. The windows came out very nice. The matched windows in front. Everything's looking a lot better over there. Those old windows were taken out and new ones put in. I don't think there was any problems. Took them a total of 2 days, and that's contending with a little bit of weather, as I recall, Mr. Fritz. So they did a great job. No problem. So if you get a chance, have a look at them. And yeah. The gutter replacement estimate, I believe, is an agenda item, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, okay. So I'll skip past that, but we do have that information. Computer and telephone systems, we are having to replace some wireless access points. That gets done on a yearly basis. It's what Brian's been working on lately among some other projects. But they do fail after about 4 or 5 years, so it's nothing unexpected. We're still reviewing the alert systems and radios at all the stations. And Roy's got some comments when we get to the Gov Deals sections. If you don't mind, I'll have him talk to the board a little bit during that point at that agenda item. No updates on software. We've had an article in the Democrat with PCAD, the strategic plan article. If you haven't had a chance to see that, that came out on the 25th by Faith Bemis. Intergovernmental, I have quite a bit to say about this. The NAEMT, I believe you've probably all heard me mention them in some capacity. They're a national organization, the National Association of EMTs, and they organize an annual what's called the EMS Day on the Hill. And what that is, they take leaders from across the nation. Typically, it's chiefs, administrators, people in my position. Go to Washington, D.C., they put on their Class A uniforms and they can walk around and we meet congressional staffers, representatives and senators. And we present as a team the issues that are important to us as a team. So it was a very highly coordinated event. This year it was done virtually, which took, as you can imagine, much more coordination. The issues that we talked about, we had about 30 minutes with each rep. Roy Blunt's and his aide were not available. We did have time scheduled with them, but we're actually trying to set up another time to get with them. We did get a chance to talk with Colleen Castle, who was Vicki Hartzler's legislative assistant, and she was great. She read up on all the materials before we got there, so she was very, very well versed in what we're looking for. Just to go through a couple of those, basically the ones we hit the hardest in the limited time that we have was HR 2454 and Senate Bill 2037. And those, the typical, the title of that is Protecting Access to Ground Ambulance Medical Services Act of 2021. The short version of this is this extends the Medicare 2% urban, 3% rural, and I believe it's around, Jamie might have to correct me on this, 20% on super rural. That doesn't so much apply to us as super rural. But those were in addition to the CMS payments that we get for our Medicare patients. In the past couple of years, we were tasked on a national level with reporting cost data to CMS so that we could bring our reimbursement rates up to speed, which I've talked several times about them being well below cost. The problem with this is we had COVID, and that slowed down everything. A lot of the cost data was either not turned in or it's just really sluggish about coming in. So we don't have that cost data available for CMS to make any kind of decisions. The data is just not there yet. The problem is those Medicare add-on payments expire at the end of this year. So what we're looking at, the ask there is that they extend those Medicare payments so that we can complete that analysis of our cost collections that's just now commencing. So basically, we just got to, the goalpost got moved, we just got to move the other goalpost to match it. The other issue was some census data. Hundreds of zip codes that were considered rural were actually categorized as urban. So you've got a lot of these rural stations that counted on that 2%, 3% rather, add-on payment. They weren't getting that payment because their zip code was under a freeway or something where they had a lot of population going through there. So they were counting as urban and stripped them of that Medicare. So they're looking at fixing that issue with zip codes. Costs remain high. The reimbursement rate was significantly reduced, and this affected some smaller ambulance services. Didn't really affect us so much, but it is a national level, and it kind of dovetails into the rest of the Medicare expansion or extension of those add-on payments. So that was, like I said, that was a 2454 in the House and 2037 in the Senate. So we kind of pressed them on that and talked about that. And that didn't seem to be a problem. There was a lot of support for that. The other issue was some the shortage of EMS personnel is a big national issue. One of the things that I found interesting about the push for that was a lot of the grants that were available because of ARPA and some of the other federal grants that have been offered the past couple of years through the Department of Labor. We weren't included. EMS wasn't included. There was a lot of nursing. There were other professions that were included in there, but EMTs and paramedics kind of got left out. So there was a lot of money put through that American Rescue Plan. I believe 1.5 billion, but those funds aren't available to EMS. So we're pushing to get a little bit out there. EMS is not a huge industry. It's fairly niche industry where, we don't come close to comparing to doctors and nurses and other healthcare professionals. So it's not a big deal, but if we can get that legislation change tweaked just a little bit, maybe EMS can actually, we can use that money to recruit, we can use that money to develop training programs, and bring more paramedics into our area. So it would be a good deal for us. It would be an exceptionally good deal for the smaller services that are struggling right now. So those are the issues that we spoke about. Like I said, those conversations were great. The meetings went great. I look forward to hopefully being able to meet with Roy Blunt for his legislative assistant as well in the future, but I will update you as that comes along.
Chief, those cuts, do they take effect federal fiscal year or calendar?
Just the end of this year. That's what I heard as the calendar. Yeah. Education. Does anybody? That was kind of a big subject. I know that's.
What's the number on the Senate?
The Senate was 2037, 2037. And again, that was the Protecting Access to Ground Ambulance Medical Services Act of 21. So it's got very good bipartisan support. No big, no controversial issues. There's plenty of controversy in Washington, D.C. and everything we brought to the table. There wasn't any big conflict. So really good productive meetings.
Did we verify that we are getting our 3% as opposed to, I'm assuming we're rural?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we're getting that until we get to here.
And the billing companies making sure that our zip code wasn't one of those.
Yeah, the zip codes that affected were around large urban centers, like some of your suburbs of LA. We've got a lot of small little agencies, some of them even volunteer agencies. They were getting hit hard with that decrease because 2% to them was a massive amount of their budget on when they're on a shoestring already. So that's what that was for. We're fine. As far as education, we're doing AMLS classes this month. This is advanced medical life support. I put a little description in the report there, but this is I'd say fairly new. It's probably been out around 8 years, and it is through the NAEMS, not to be confused with the NAEMT. I know there's a lot of acronyms in there, but this is a big education program through them, and it does case-based scenarios. They can apply their knowledge to critical patients, use critical thinking skills. And there's a lot, it's a very hands-on class, a lot of simulation, reading EKG strips, monitor images, lots of waveforms, some airway stuff, but it really focuses on identifying treatable problems more accurately in the field. So it's a great class. We're doing it several times throughout the month of April. Nothing in section 5 there, nothing new. We still got one out on maternity leave. Don't have any other issues to report to the board tonight.
Any other questions for Eric?
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. Now we'll move on to the CFO report.
My report starts on page 10. So last board meeting, you guys asked me to consolidate mine for the first of the month to just bills, so that's what you got, it's just the bills this time. We've got the APHG summary on page 10, and the details are pages 11 through 14. And then I also gave you the credit card statements, failed to include that one. So, is there any questions on any of those?
I had one, Jan.
Sure.
Hank's portable septic service.
Mm-hmm.
Did
TC
we-
Highway, we had to pump the septic tank out.
Oh, okay.
This full.
I was thinking of Johnny on the spot.
No, it was the full on septic system.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions on any of those? Have the other questions?
Action item on the CFO report, temporary credit card limit increase.
Yes, so the last week of April, I'll be going to ABC 360. It's in San Antonio. That's the same training that Eric went to in Las Vegas a few weeks ago or a month ago. So my credit card limit is $1,000. Generally, I just ask the board, but since I'm the one that changes it, I want the board to approve it. So I'll be gone from the 24th through the 28th and maybe the 29th as well. But the conference is the 25th through the 28th. So my hotel is already like $820. of my $1,000 limit, and I will still be at a hotel for the 28th. Because it doubled at the conference site, it doubled, so I didn't want to do that, so I'll go somewhere else that night. And then I'll need meals and parking, so I'm asking to raise it to 2,500 just for that week.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second? I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Point of order, sir. A couple things. I'd like to say that I'm very proud of the Windsor Ambulance District. They had their election on their half-cent sales tax and it passed, which means more revenue for this district under that contract. The second item I have, Mr. Chairman, it has to do with the state statute that requires us as board members to take certain training, okay? And that law, 190.053, does state that within 12 months, that board member takes that training. And the option is you cannot take that training, but you will not receive any fees for your attendance. So, Mr. Cox, you're out of compliance with the law. I've instructed our CFO to discontinue any money. So until you take that training, that's the way it's going to be. So that's the law. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Take a motion to approve payment of outstanding bills.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We move on to unfinished business, bylaws, which we talked about them as part of the strategic plan, and they're in the packet. Have to receive written notice, 30 days notice before actually voting on them. So those are just there for your review, and we'll vote on those tonight. There's no action on the bylaws tonight, they're just for your 30 days. We'll vote on that meeting tonight.
I sent a question to you guys, I can't remember what it is right now, regarding the changing of the secretary's duties.
Yeah, there wasn't anything that needed to change in the bylaws for that. The bylaws already, so I have to look at it again. I think there is some verbiage there.
Page 19, section 4.1.
Yeah, there's one.
We're talking about whether or not you can be a non-board member.
Yes,
right. Yeah,
So that last-
both the treasurer and the secretary have that stipulation.
The email you sent, Steve, was about secretary duties currently. But yeah, that last sentence there just states what the statute states. Secretary and treasurer do not have to be members of board.
I sent that when I was reading it.
So those are just for our review. Move on to Gov Deals.
So the radio closed out on the 9th, which was Saturday. The highest bid received for the portable radios was $3,500, the reserve was $4,200. The mobile radios, the highest bid was $3,000, the reserve was $4,200. We can offer that out to the highest bidder. However, last time we did that, the bidder they didn't actually go back to pay for it. So we can either rebid it out, or we can send it to the highest bidder and see if they're still interested. If they don't accept it, we kind of need an idea of what our next move is. So that's kind of how you want to move forward.
Do you have some suggestions for?
I think that they actually own up 35 $103,000. I think that's probably the best it's gonna get, honestly. If they don't, we're probably gonna need to lower that reserve. Disappointed that we didn't go for what we thought we could get out of it, but at the same time, you know.
Can you only offer to the highest bidder?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. And that'll either out that I'll go, like I said, if they don't accept or they don't pay, then we're ready.
Do we have any recognition of who the bidders are? Is it on?
Right now, I'm not sure, but I think there's a way to go back through.
But I would say the highest bidders on those are willing to still do that. Not too far off on the portables. Or $1,200 off on the mobiles, but that's,
They've been sitting unused for how long?
They're not a real particularly popular radio. I was kind of surprised that you did on, it. But yeah, my suggestion to the board is take those bids if those people still pay.
makes a motion to do that.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion?
We've had one for 60 days, is that right?
I believe that's right.
Yep. If they don't go for accepting that amount, what do you want to do? You want to relist them with a different reserve price or?
But we don't want to set it any longer. I'd say,
I mean, somebody could put good use. I mean, if somebody that has a small entity could put those to good use.
We set the reserve price for the high bids last time. But like I said, we won't take any lower than that.
We've got a motion, second on the floor to accept the current bid. We'll vote on that, and then we'll make another motion if that does not settle with it. All in favor of accepting the current bid, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Now we need a motion that if they,
I move that we, if they are not sold, that we list them at what the high bid was this time.
is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Gutter replacement bid, it's on pages 31 to 33.
You gotta, can we take this? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I didn't know. We've got two bids, one of them from CMB and the other from Steve's Guttering. CMB bid on a 6-inch gutter with downspouts on the south side only of the building. That 6-inch gutter was going to be $1,910. Steve's put in two bids. He felt like 6-inch was not going to be enough just because of the amount of water flow that was going to be going through that big old roof. So he highly recommended going with a 7-inch, but he gave us a 6-inch bid as well. The 7-inch bid was $2,150 and the 6 was $1,700. For the $400 difference, it's my recommendation to the board to go with the 7-inch.
Yeah.
I noticed on Steve's bid, it says replace all guttering. And the other one said on the south side. Yeah, south side only. I'm assuming that Steve was talking to us about south side.
I can get that corrected, and I can get a corrected bid for that if you like. Yeah. I believe that's all we were asking.
Was there anything that Gary added about his bid with regard to a 7-inch? Did we talk to him?
From CB,
Yeah, CB. I mean, the reason I'm saying that, I mean, they're here in Pettis County. We are doing business with people in Pettis County.
yeah, I think the difference was Gary came in, I didn't mean Gary, I don't know my first name, but CMB came in on the 1st of April, and Steve's followed up on the 5th, and like I said, they made that additional recommendation to us to go to 7-inch, so that wasn't made through CMB. We could certainly get a bid from CMB to do 7-inch. I see it on the top of the right up there, so we can go back to them and get a 7-inch bid if you want. By the price difference, there was only $200 difference from the 7-inch, whereas from the 6-inch, there was a pretty good jump. It was $200 higher than, almost 200 higher than Steve's. So I don't know where that'll land. The one was in Warsaw, and one was in Sedalia. So yeah.
That's just a comment I'll make to the rest of the board that we've always tried to focus doing business with folks that are in Pettis County. So
Yes.
I move we accept the Steve's guttering for the 2150 for the 7-inch gutter.
Is there a second to that? Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor of accepting the Steve's guttering bill for 750, say aye.
I,
All opposed, same sign. EMS week staff appreciation.
For that,
Please don't go.
Kick off.
yeah, I just have to take it back. I don't have all that information.
Well,
If you
the
want
main
to
thing that we
jump in.
wanted to bring to the board was we received a donation for $1,000, and we would like to use that $1,000 to be able to provide a personalized gift for the crews, the staff for EMS week. So that's what we need the board to approve. The rest of the stuff, yeah, Flo can talk about another time,
Yeah.
but that. 'cause we'll have to get those
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion, but I'd like to make a comment first. I went out this afternoon with Flo and talked with some businesses. And this community is very grateful for what we have here, and it's amazing the gifts that we receive for our folks. So it gives us a good opportunity to go out and talk with the people and let them know EMS week is important. So this week, it's also worthy of mention, it's dispatchers week. And we are doing something for all three shifts, three shifts. Just giving them a couple of pieces in recognition of what they did. So, when you hear about EMS week or this week or that week, we're coming up, and that week is
Second week of May.
So
If I might add on that.
absolutely.
That is something traditionally, Bothell does a really good job of celebrating EMS week, and some of our other agencies around here have always done a lot for it. PCAD, we haven't been around long enough really to do much with it, and when we started to do something with it, COVID came along, so nobody could really do much last year. I think we met out in the yard at Bothell.
Yeah.
We fought our way through it last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, this would be something that directly for our staff, and it's a nice little gesture, like I said. So, but the EMS week, and I'll have more information as we approach those dates as to anything else we might be doing celebrating.
The gift was unrestricted, right? Just a-
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And we did that 2019. We did that. That was the last time we were able to do that for the staff. We gave them coffee mugs.
The blue ones.
Yeah, it's not $1,000 for 70 people. It will be under $20.
I think we should recognize that we have a patient that we touched them in a compassionate way, for them to reach in their pocket, and donate $1,000 to this district. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that $1,000 donor be used for EMS week and our employees.
Is there a second to that?
I second that.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Yes. The election results, I will take a motion to approve the result of the election.
Move we accept them.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. I would take a motion to adjourn the outgoing board.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Nail, it's been a pleasure. Pleasure, Mr. Brown. Mr. Perkins. Up to you. Roy, thank you. Good luck to you. All right, thanks for keeping things rolling, buddy. Appreciate it.
To order the incoming board, and we will. Office, Mr. Well, you're gonna do my flag.
Yeah. Last time we were a little confused, we had all kinds of oaths, I got my own oath, you got your own oath. We got through that. How are you guys doing?
We're gonna do it.
Good, this is the fun part, I get to swear at people and not get in trouble.
I might swear that.
And so that's okay.
You guys want to take these over? Yeah. One more.
Right hand up for me. Serving as a board member of Pettis County Ambulance District.
Serving as a member.
Sorry, repeat after me. I'm sorry.
Explaining instructions.
I'm swearing at you. Serving as a board member of Pettis County Ambulance District.
Serving as a board member of Pettis County Ambulance District,
I hereby unconditionally agree
I hereby unconditionally agree
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri.
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri.
Agree to abide by all applicable federal and state laws
Agree to abide by all applicable federal and state laws
and regulations,
and regulations,
district ordinances,
district ordinances,
bylaws, and policies,
bylaws, and policies,
and will further devote
and will further devote
sufficient time
sufficient time
and effort to my office
and effort to my office
so as faithfully conduct myself
faithfully to conduct myself
in the office with an undivided
in the office with an undivided
loyalty to the district.
loyalty to the district.
Congratulations, sir.
What, son?
Yeah, this will be yours. So, right here, you bring your name right here, and then your district 4. Sign below. You can hang that on your wall.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
I'm glad that election's done. Just to let you know, that was the highest turnout, most ballots cast for a local election since 2004.
Is that right?
Wow. Big one.
All right, board.
Thank you.
That's it. And I appreciate you. Okay, this is yours. All right. Thank you. Congratulations.
Sure.
Okay.
No, it's,
I should make copies.
I'm out here, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
we will move on to board officer elections and resolution 2022-02. Appointment of officers. We'll open the floor for nominations for chair.
That still be Mr.
Further nominations. Further nominations will cease. All in favor, say Aye. All opposed? Vice Chair. Currently, that's Mr. Bryant.
I'll nominate John Nail.
Any further nominations?
I'll nominate Mike.
Any further nominations? If not, nominations will cease, and we can vote for John Nail first. All in favor of John Nail as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor of Mike Brown for vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Votes 3-3, for the votes tied, that office goes back to the proceeding. Vote again. Votes tied, we'll vote again, the same way.
Mr. Chairman, do we have each person give 30 seconds of their desire for this position or an opportunity to speak?
They can have an opportunity to speak if they wish.
John, why do you want to be vice president?
Oh, I'd like to have the position so that I can get a better understanding of everything that PCAD does. I'd like to be able to talk to the labor representative or the employees and understanding where they're coming from, also with management. And I feel like with the secretary job gone, I'm just gonna be floating, and I'd like to be a little more involved. I've got time now, and I'd like to be able to help in a deeper way than what I can without having a position.
Well, I've enjoyed being vice chair. Haven't had to do a lot. It's been here a long time, but I'm very interested in board. And I'd like to continue.
And for my own edification, I do not know what the duties of the vice president are. Do they meet ahead of the meeting with the chairman or? Yeah, really. I get this chairman and vice chairman, president, vice president. Well, they are the chair, the vice chair, Bill, and
When I couldn't be.
and is there anything?
There's bank signing duties for the vice chair
Okay.
as well, and they can see the bank accounts, and those are all things that we'll vote on.
Okay, well, I wasn't familiar with the duties at the office, and all of a sudden we swam, we're there, so thank you for explaining that to me.
So we will vote again. All in favor of Mr. Nail for vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of Mr. Brown for vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
So we're at a deadlock, and the board can't choose the vice chair. Then if we go back to the previous vice chair, which would be Mr. Brown.
That's fine too.
So move on to treasurer. Are there any nominations for treasurer?
Steve Davis.
Further nominations?
I'll make that.
Further nominations? No further nominations? All in favor of Steve Davis being the treasurer, say aye. Aye. All those in favor of Adam Cox being the treasurer?
Aye. Here we go.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
with Steve being the CFO of Bothwell, it seems like there's a possibility of conflict of interest maybe at times, because the hospital and the ambulance district work so close together. And I don't
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
know.
Somebody explain to me what the treasurer does before my vote's available for, I need to.
Jamie can probably best explain that.
What are the duties of the treasurer?
So they're listed here in the bylaws. Let's see, on page 20 and 21. Most of the duties of the treasurer are delegated to myself, but the things that the treasurer usually does is they review and approve the bank reconciliations each month. They review payroll each pay period and approve that. They are a signer on my account. They're usually the admin of our online banking. So they're the ones that give the access to myself and the chair and vice chair. They usually sign sometimes with the chair or vice chair or secretary, whoever is signing. The rest of the duties are pretty much delegated to myself as far as the actual financials.
Approved payment of bills. and-
Yes, they do. Yes, thank you. I knew I was forgetting something. There is 2 board members that approve payment of bills after the board approves as well in our electronic banking system. So the treasurer is one of those people as well.
I have 2 more follow-ups.
Sure.
Then Mr. Davis, have you experienced any opportunities that you would think are conflict of interest, find yourself in a difficult situation in that role?
I have not.
Yeah, no.
There are no funds change hands. It's just,
Okay, and also with this oversight, you've explained back in the embezzlement days, how could that happen?
Well, we didn't have the same oversight.
That's what I want to make sure that we have a
Yes.
different oversight.
So-
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, so just to answer your question, when I came on board, we instituted an online bill payment system, so it's a third party. All the bills are uploaded through that system. Eric reviews and approves the bills first, then they usually go to the treasurer, who reviews and approves, then they go to the chair that reviews and approves, and then the entire board reviews and approves. And that big stack over there is all of the bills and the bank recs, that anybody can look at anytime and see that. So we have, about 4 layers you have to go through.
Sure.
Before anybody gets paid. So,
Okay,
so
thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Is there any further questions about the position?
Tell you what, this round I'm gonna abstain anyway, so.
All those in favor of Steve Davis being the board treasurer, say aye.
I,
All those in favor of Adam Cox being board treasurer, say aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Mr. Davis will be board treasurer. Move on to secretary. Part of the strategic planning discussion and vote that we had is that it would be available to make Katie the board treasurer. Secretary, I'm sorry. Anyway, now it's the official vote.
Who's the current
Mr.
Would you be interested in retaining that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to vote to keep that office with the board, because I feel it's a oversight that we have as a board. And if something in the minutes is off, I think the board needs to take responsibility for it, not an employee. I mean, I still feel that way.
Are there any further nominations for secretary? If there are no further nominations, Mr. Nail for secretary, all in favor, Mr. Nail, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Budget officer, and that is currently changed because she prepares the budget and presented to the board for our approval. So I would take a motion to approve Jamie as budget officer.
I would make a motion that Jamie continues to be budget.
So second to that motion.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Custodian of records, which is Ryan. He takes all the information and archives it. motion carries. So I'll take a motion to approve Ryan as custodian of records.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ordinance 2022-01, conflict of interest policy, it's on page 36. It's been in place for.
Since the beginning of the district, it's required by state statute. It has to do with the NEC filings.
To do, wait a second. Somewhere there.
I believe it.
So May 1st or 2nd is when the second time.
It's May 1st, but if it's Sundays, then it's May 2nd.
I will take a motion to approve conflict of interest policy.
So.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Move on to resolutions, resolution 2022-03, authorize officers to sign certain bank documents and checks. That's what that gives the chair, the vice chair, and the treasurer. Sign those. The word and implies that both must each time. Two, yes, not either or. Right. Take two signatures. I want to make sure that and meant and. Is there a second?
Second.
I think we need actual names. We need actual names in the minutes to provide the bank. Sorry.
The chairman, Nick Gerke, vice chair, Mike Brown, and treasurer, Steve Davis. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Resolution 2022-04, authorize officers to review electronic bank records. That's be for Chairman Nick Gerke, Vice Chair Mike Brown, and Treasurer Steve Davis.
It's also myself and Aaron.
Yes. And there you go.
We can view all.
Take motion to approve that.
So moved.
Do that second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same thing. Resolution 2022-05, authorize officers to access safe deposits. 41. I'm gonna write that in there. Access and safety deposit box would be Chair Nick Gerke, Vice Chair Mike Brown, and Eric Durfee.
What is kept in the safe deposit box, the permanent record of minutes and stuff like that, or?
There's a few jump drives over building plans. There's really not anything.
Right.
Most of our, I would say, the vast majority of our internal documents are kept on cloud storage now, so there's really not much to put in there.
Okay, so. Just a little bit of this and that.
Yeah. Nothing by law or anything is designated. There, it's just.
Then again, that I see it's at no charge, so.
Correct.
Take a motion to approve that resolution. Second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Since we had no new business, I would take a motion to go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021. One and two.
Before we do that, I'm assuming that we're putting all of these bylaws in. I mean, we're thinking about changing all of these, this is
Just the changes.
just the changes.
Yes, that highlighted the changes.
All right, so there was no change on page 17 there.
Those won't be voted on.
All right, I'm with you, thank you.
Sure.
Go close.
So go to closed session.
Do we have a second? There. All in favor, and that'll be roll call.
Yes.
Cox?
Yeah.
Davis?
Yes.
Sorry. Turkey?
Yes.
Graves?
Yes.
Yes, I'm still at the end of the alphabet.
So